The Second Amendment is dead. Welcome, everybody, to the Maj Toure Show. I'm your host, Maj Toure. It is Thursday, March the 26th, 2026, and we're coming to a grim realization of what we're dealing with in America. And tonight's show hopefully will enlighten some people about these dangers as well as course correct. And I know, just like last night's show, the statement sounds very, very extreme, but I'm convinced that it's on life support. Guys, you know the routine. Come in, let me know where you're watching from. Let me know what platform you're watching from. You guys know of our work at BGM and Solutionary Center. Firearms work in the Second Amendment has been an intricate part of my everyday life for the last 10 years. 10 years. The work of informing, training, educating, and growing a community that is a critical component of the United States, a critical component of American life, a critical component of every single thing that we do as Americans. And I mean that in the sense of the human right to defend our lives with a endowment from our Creator. And that's what the Second Amendment is about. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And that's not a complicated statement. It becomes more complicated as it relates to what it means to someone that is attempting to confuse that sentence. The more you try to get confusion out of this, the more confused you get. This is very simple. You have human rights. You're born with them. This list of human rights, as known as the Bill of Rights, first 10 amendments to the Constitution of the United States of America, are checks on government, limits on government. And it seems we all forgot. It seems we don't want to honor that, or a lot of us. And because we've walked away from that very, very basic understanding, we've gotten ourselves in a very, very precarious position in America. And that position is that somehow government is giving you this right. This is the Constitution in general, but more as it relates to the Second Amendment than many of us want to actually admit. So when you take people away from this very basic understanding of the framework of America, how liberty is supposed to work, how liberty is supposed to be defended, how the human rights and government itself is supposed to be only in existence to defend the individual's rights, which makes up the collective of Americans, as more and more people are further and further away from this very basic concept, the country just looks more and more like shit. We start asking for more and more permission. We start seeing politicians utter things that not long after the formation of America would have gotten them tarred and feathered for their statements. And I'm actually of the belief, maybe this work doesn't matter anymore. Maybe just the American people just are okay with a certain level of slavery. That's what it feels like. And tonight I want to take you through a few things that have given me this feeling. Why I'm starting to feel this way about Americans in general. This right here, March the 14th, the Democrat-controlled Virginia Assembly wrapped up their 2026 legislative session and ran through over 15 pieces of anti-gun legislation. In just 60 days, the anti-gun left has nearly undone gun rights for millions. Now, when I say undone, it's not that it's undone in the sense of they removed your human right to self-defense. It's not that. It's you are now in a position in supposedly the freest nation in the world that having a certain type of firearm. Now law enforcement with a firearm comes to violate, accost, and then try to put you in jail for exercising a human right of having a tool for personal defense. That's where we are. I don't really know how to say this in a different way. I'm a little upset. I'm a little upset because I've dedicated 10 years of my life to this. And I almost feel like it's an exercise in futility. So Terry says a bit hangry because I haven't eaten. For those of y'all that are not aware, I haven't eaten food since Saturday. I'm feeling very like ethereal right now. I haven't had any solid food in 5 days, and I'm processing things in a way like if you understand the position that Virginia had in the forming of America, if you understand the position that New York had in the forming of America, right? Pennsylvania, Philadelphia. If you understand that these things and this situation was so intricate and so many people gave their life, it's almost like the knowledge base of what happened. When you listen people talking about, Massachusetts and Boston, the Revolutionary War and the Boston Tea Party and Crispus Attucks and the first young little boy that was shot that started the Revolutionary War and all of these different things. And then you look at the places like when you go to Rhode Island, and these are all places that I've been. When you go to Boston, when you go to Massachusetts, when you go to Virginia, and this type of legislation is on the floor, it is almost like, how did we get from a space where it was, we're going to create this country, you get to say what you want, you get to have the means to defend yourself, you get to, and now we're in a mindset is disheartening. Anyway, I'll read up a little bit more on this. Guys, support the work. Listen to this. Your 2A rights are on the chopping block as Virginia Democrats plot insane gun bans. Insane. If you know anything about American history, you totally understand why this is insane. The Commonwealth of Virginia, once the cradle of American liberty and the home of Bill of Rights, is witnessing a historic betrayal in real time. On March 14th, the Virginia General Assembly wrapped up their 2026 legislative session and rammed over 15 pieces of anti-gun legislation. In just 60 days, the anti-gun left has nearly undone gun rights for millions of law-abiding Virginia residents. And I want to stop saying that too. I want us to stop saying law-abiding. I want us to stop saying it. Our nature is in opposition to unconstitutional statutes as Americans. We're a law-abiding citizen. Dr. Martin Luther King, in pushing back against bigotry and racism. I know some of y'all have mixed feelings about Dr. King because of his Marxist schooling and things like that. I'm not debating y'all on that, okay? But there were men and women that saw things were wrong with a spot, and sometimes the law said that these things were right, and they were not right. Legality and morality are two separate conversations. Anyway, crown jewel of the tyranny, SB 749 and HB 217, two so-called assault weapons ban bills. These identical bills landed at the desk of newly elected Democrat Governor Abigail Spanberger during the final days of the legislative session and are currently awaiting her signature. Now, I want y'all to be clear. She doesn't have, this is a fact about she doesn't have to technically sign them into law. All she has to a certain date, even if she doesn't sign them, they become law. Because I know some people, well, she doesn't sign them by this time and da da da. These are loopholes that people hope. When you get to the point where you're, hoping that loopholes keep you out of a situation, and you have a Constitution and a Second Amendment, it tells us how far away from the reality and the freedoms we are. Anyway, she's promised to sign them into law. For years, GOA and our dedicated members have stood against these unconstitutional infringements as they've popped up in state legislatures all around the country. Just a few weeks ago, through overwhelming grassroots activism and pressure from gun rights organizations like GOA, similar so-called assault weapons ban was defeated in New Mexico. And last year in Virginia, former Republican Governor Glenn Youngkin vetoed over 27 anti-gun bills, including a so-called assault weapons ban. But in the election of billionaire Michael Bloomberg-backed Spanberger in November 2025, the governor's seat is now occupied by a rubber stamp for the radical gun control lobby. Anti-gun Democrats also flipped over a dozen pro-gun seats in the Virginia House of Delegates, while also maintaining a slim majority in the Virginia Senate. And within hours of gaining control, the governor's mansion and legislature, anti-gun lawmakers began drafting numerous gun control measures, promising to ram them through the General Assembly at warp speed. I want to say something before we move on, Solutionary. When I say things like, the Republicans have the House, the Senate, currently, and the executive branch in America. When I say that, Osmundi says, hey, Maj, have you heard of Illinois HB 4414, which will require all ammunition to have serial numbers? I've heard of this before, and this ain't the first time that was presented. There's a lot of you that are going to be telling me some of the anti-gun stuff in the chat and things like that. I saw this before, and the reason why the micro stamping didn't happen because the machines are very expensive. All right. David says, love me some Maj, but this stuff is getting so sickening I can't watch this. 2A and 4A are under attack like never before, and only a few actually care. I agree. And this is the space. A part of me was like, damn, am I, like y'all, some of y'all said in the chat, am I just hangry? Am I just mad because I haven't had no solid food? I could murder a steak right now, for sure. But it's not that. When we see these things, we see the work that we do, right? Before we go back to our work, we see the Trump administration has control of the House, the Senate, and the executive branch. Somebody tell me in the chat, what pro-gun legislation has the current administration, when they have the House, the Senate, and the executive branch, they've had it for over a year, what pro-gun legislation have they gotten through? What have they gotten through? The Democrats in Virginia, in less than 2 months, 15, boom, throw them through there. Okay? We're in the middle of saying, let's go to a war. Let's print up an additional $200 billion. Let's this, let's that. Let's get Palantir in. Let's do this, let's do that. And let me be very clear. I will not comply. Y'all, if any of y'all know my backstory, you know I don't fucking comply. But it's not just about us. And that's where we sometimes lose because we go, well, that's going to get tossed up the Supreme Court level. If you're relying on the Supreme Court is supposed to assess things more sparingly. If all of the things are just by now designed, they're supposed to be pressed up to the Supreme Court could not even pick up the case. When you have a Republican, so-called Republican, House, Senate, and executive branch, and I say, you've had it for a year, what legislation was pushed up and pushed through? Like the Democrat Virginians did in 2 months. Everybody goes, oh, I don't know. I don't have any. I don't see any. I'm not sure. You start relying on the Supreme Court. As Zakuza says, there was a time when the SCOTUS said slavery was fine. It's called the Dred Scott decision, folks. There was a time. This is a quote from Dred Scott. That happened. So here we are. House, Senate, executive branch, Republicans. No, tell me, I'll ask a different question. What anti-gun legislation has gotten repealed since, on a federal level, since the Republicans have the House, the Senate, and the executive branch? None. Let's read a little bit more. And within hours of gaining control of the governor's mansion and legislature, anti-gun lawmakers began drafting numerous gun control measures, and I don't think they drafted them. I think they had them already. It was around. Promising to ram them through the General Assembly at warp speed. Make no mistake, SB 749 and HB 217 have nothing to do with safety and everything to do with removing your Second Amendment rights. This legislation targets the most popular firearms in America, tools used by millions of law-abiding citizens for self-defense, competition, and sport. According to the FBI, nearly twice as many people are murdered with hands and fists than rifles of any kind, and over 3 times as many with knives. Yet anti-gun radicals want us to believe semi-automatic firearms must be banned. Gun rights on private property debated at the Supreme Court. But by arbitrarily labeling semi-automatic rifles, pistols, and shotguns as assault firearms based on common features like folding stocks or threaded barrels, the anti-gunners are actively removing your ability to defend yourself and your family with the tool of your choice. Why are we even pretending like the radicals or the anti-gun leftists have a say in this if we already got a Second Amendment? That's the part that's the gag for me. That's the gag for me. Since when are they the arbiters of this in any way? Since when? Since when, if you have a precedent, if you have Supreme Court decisions that have reaffirmed this, what are we doing that's incorrect? And that's not all. I want to be very clear. That's just Virginia, guys. That's just Virginia. It's just Virginia. We're arguing about ICE in Minnesota, and now Minnesota's coming up with the binary trigger ban. We're going to ban the binary triggers, and and rightfully so. All of the American patriots are fighting like hell no. Their argument is going to be, oh, the binary trigger turns a gun, semi-automatic firearm, into a fully automatic. The fact that we're even arguing that full auto and the NFA and these things are in existence when we have a House, a Senate, and a Republican executive branch, and we have a Second Amendment that exists and has existed, and we had the Bruin decision, and we had this, and we had this. This is another part of the fucking problem, people. How many times are we going to play this game? HF 3368, SF 4200 will ban lawful firearm components and restrict how Minnesotans can use their firearms. No impact on crime, real impact on your rights. And this is a retroactive ban. Just for having a binary trigger. Do you know why we're not making any progress? I'll tell you why. Because as this is going on in the real world, we are watching people on the pro-gun side of things say the stupidest shit in the world. I want to bring up a video for you guys real quick. And in this video, I saw it on Mr. Guns and Gears page. I saw this video here. And watching so many people do the wrong thing as it relates to this video was so fucking stupid to me. Let me go to posts. Guys, givesendgo.com/solutionary. Let's get some engagement in the chat. And let's get some support for the actual work. I'm trying to find this video that Mr. Guns and Gear posted and watching how many people in the comment section of this video were just like bugging out. Actually, I won't use Mr. Guns and Gear's page. I'll use my page. Because I know what this is. I think I do. Damn, I got a lot of shit on this page, y'all. This is the video, guys. I'm going to play this real quick. This is a little bit longer, and I'm going to pause it in between. Actually, the Zakuza has making some great points tonight. Says the trigger ban was a part of the omnibus bill passed in Minnesota. The legality of that bill is before the state Supreme Court, but then yet again falling into the trap of relying on the court. If you have people that are interpreting the Constitution as they feel like it, as opposed to what it is, and being a constitutional scholar, this is how you run into that. Okay? It's a good point, though. Relying on the trap of the court. Let's play this real quick, y'all. Let me know in the chat if y'all can hear this and everything. Stupid people with guns. Can't tell if these rooms is real. My man, boy, Lee, where you at? Yeah, I did it. Get Lee in there. Lee! Solutionaries, that was what I... So, in that video, these are young people. And they got guns and they got switches and all of this other stuff. And I watched so many people in the Second Amendment community under a bunch of people that reposted that start saying, yeah, they need to arrest them for those switches. Meanwhile, the binary trigger ban, you're pushing back against that because it's unconstitutional. So we have a split. No, that was in St. Louis. That was in St. Louis. We're seeing people, those young people were in St. Louis and they like, yeah, man, they this, that, and the third, and whoop, whoop, whoop. And I said to myself, like, damn, bro. I thought we were at a space where we were pushing back against anything that's in a violation of a tool. And we saw so many people, or at least I did, on X, going, yeah, we need to lock those guys up, those thugs, those this, those that. And I just remember they were like, yeah, those guys, there's no way that those guys are 21. First of all, black don't crack. That's one. But I do agree that those young men didn't look like they were 21. They looked like they was like 17, 18, 19 maybe, right? But then I thought back to how I got in alignment with Kyle Rittenhouse, a 17-year-old with a rifle that was carrying it around. Now, again, I'm not saying that these young people should be, you know, I don't like the, first of all, I'm not a fan of like showcasing firearms unless you showing a drill or this, that, and the third, or even if you plinking, right? I'm not in opposition to that. However, they appeared to be like on a like what looked like it could have been like a playground or something like that. I'm just not a fan of that. However, they're still exercising their Second Amendment. I saw some decent trigger discipline, and I didn't see them pointing guns or sweeping each other at all. But nonetheless, even though I disagree with that form, it's like people that have a disagreement with open carry. I don't open carry. But we're seeing the people that's open carriers kind of like, that's concealed carriers. Open carry is just bad for the Second Amendment. No, it's not. I can disagree with it and not like it, but understand somebody else's approach to it. None of those people that were yelling at those young men, obviously behind the wall, social media, all of this other shit, right? None of them said, hey, if you have a young person, BGM does classes. None of them linked and said, hey, here's the link where you can get these young people a firearm and training. Firearms training. Here's a link that an organization that's doing this type of work. I started actually getting pushback. Now, some of it may be bots, right? I'm not, obviously that exists. But the pushback was not that the government has made firearms ownership almost taboo, and the education associated with it has been removed from the public school system, and it used to be there. The argument from these so-called Second Amendment activists and advocates was not that. Not even identifying their own contradiction. Yeah, they shouldn't have switches. At the same time, they're saying, yeah, the bump stop ban was wrong. Yeah, this binary trigger thing is wrong. So you understand it there. But you can't put your bias down enough to look at what's happening and go, that's interesting. This community is under attack and it's being misinformed. They couldn't even be objective and nuanced and intellectually consistent enough to say, I see young guys in rural communities going out in the field and might be shooting guns in a way that with no berm, no backstop. We need to make sure that these young people are getting informed in general. So when I say the Democrats got on code within 2 months and got legislation pushed through because they controlled the legislature in Virginia, then when I say, why has not Republicans in the House, the Senate, and the executive branch gotten any anti-gun legislation repealed and or promoted any pro-gun legislation? And now their same FUD type of energy on social media is attacking these young kids for exercising their Second Amendment rights. Somehow they can't just be, well, they're just a little urban, but they Second Amendment folks. Oh no, these guys are definitely gangbangers. You don't fucking know that. Imagine if I said all white people, young white people with guns in them country towns are definitely all young Klansmen, young racists. It's stupid. So instead of us unifying around the concept that we have, we're fighting these fights, contradicting ourselves. And nobody thought to say, because a lot of these guys that I saw commenting on this shit on Mr. Guns and Gears page, a lot of them follow me. Not one person, I'm talking about hundreds of thousands, millions of views, tens of thousands of comments. And I perused through the comment section. And in the process of perusing through there, I did not see one person say, hey, those kids need some guidance. They need some information. They need some training. Send them to Maj. We didn't. And this is what it's starting to look like to me. Because some people believe only certain people should have guns. Guys, givesendgo.com/solutionary. I'm going to ask everybody to help support our work tonight with a donation. It seems like every time I ask y'all, do it in the super chat and or do it in givesendgo.com. It's the pinned post in the comments on YouTube. If you're watching on X, it's my pinned post on the top of my page. We need help, guys. We've done magic with pennies. I haven't been the best at a lot of things. We've made magic happen for the last 10 years with voluntary donations. Support the work. Take a class. Buy a class for someone. Join the Solutionary 9. Get these young people involved in the Solutionary 9. These are the things that actually help. We need knowledge. We need resources. And we need the people, such as myself and this motley crew of ours, to deploy those resources that you guys give us in the heart of the areas that need it the most. That's what we need. So when I say that, I'm not saying it to like be funny. I'm saying it because it's what we really genuinely need. Because the alternative is this. And dare I say, this. Colorado House Democrats have passed HB 261144, the anti-3D printed bill. Sweeping legislation seeks to regulate and criminalize the sharing of any 3D model or code that could be used to produce a firearm. Similar to measures pushed in California and New York, we have warned that the language is so broad that it could impact industries and activities that had nothing to do with firearms. So they're going after 3D printing. Dexter Taylor is in jail for hobbying of firearms in his apartment. Let's go one more. This was a while back, because I want everybody to understand most of this stuff that I'm presenting to you guys on the screen is recent. This one right here is from 2022. Governor Kathy Hochul signs package of gun control bills into law, including banning anyone under the age of 21 from buying or owning a semi-automatic rifle, strengthening red flag laws, limiting the sale of body armor to only law enforcement. The freedom to defend your life in America, the Second Amendment, is dead. Or it'll be dead, and then you'll have these same people that are patriots that are pushing back and saying it's null and void. And that's the actual reality. These laws that are repugnant to the supreme law of the land and the Constitution are repugnant, thereby null and void. And they'll fight and stand on it. And then people that are absolutely anti-gun will get behind the back of blue people that'll show up to take the firearms and arrest the people that are in alignment with that. This is the absolute horse shit that we're dealing with. And I get upset because I go, to what end? I've given my life to this thing. I've given a lot of energy to this. I'm in calls with people and lawyers in New York State that after the Bruen decision, the state of New York, and New York City more in specific, is going out of their way to delay licenses to carry and go out of their way to make the process even more truncated. The waits are up to 2 years. It's supposed to be 6 months. 6 months is insane. Six months is insane. And then when we see these types of things in New York, Hochul here, we see things like this, 3D printing. We see things like this here. We're going to stop the binary trigger. When you start looking at that whole picture, you say, oh, you guys are going a roundabout way to absolutely decimate the Second Amendment. And if you're asking for permission for a God-given right that's codified in the Bill of Rights, what are we doing? What are we doing? We're not living right. We're being marched towards like almost, it feels like a dystopian lockdown-esque. Remember, COVID was very like, oh no, for your safety. And it's at the same time trying to take apart pieces of freedom and your ability to do these things. Because if a government official is attempting to take your ability to defend yourself or have guns, they're planning to do something or have done things that if you find out, that you know you'd probably shoot them for. And it's not okay, guys. And then we show up with this. Connecticut just voted to ban the Glock, the most owned handgun in America. The gun carried by more law enforcement officers than any other. The gun sitting in tens of millions of American homes right now. They just voted to ban it. Connecticut's Judiciary Committee just passed HB 5043, and it's headed to a full House vote. Here's what they're calling it: a ban on convertible pistols. Here's what it actually is: a ban on Glocks in nearly every modern striker-fired handgun in America. The penalty if you sell one after it passes: Class D felony, up to 5 years in prison, $5,000 fine. Their excuse: illegal Glock switches, a cheap piece of plastic that's already illegal. Glock switches should not be illegal. Binary triggers should not ever be illegal. Bump stocks should have never been banned. I'm going to say it because a lot of your favorite fucking gun enthusiasts are not saying it. They just outside playing with guns. Ain't never shot shit. And I'm not advocating that they have to, but it's like, when are you going to get into this fight? Let me ask y'all this. With all of the work that you guys are aware, and this is going to sound like entitled, and I promise y'all I'm not trying to come off entitled. I'm not owed anything. Naturally Armed with the $20 super chat. We need 9 more, y'all. Thank you, Naturally Armed. If you're in the New Jersey area, Naturally Armed is who you should be seeing for firearms instruction. Okay? We need 9 more, guys. 9 more of those. Please pitch in. But I want to go back to this question. With all of these platforms that I've done and the work that we've done, why do you think we're rumbling to get this last little bit of funding? Why do y'all think that? Do you think that maybe some of these platforms that I've been on, the so-called pro-gun, do you think all of them have donated? You think so? Where am I failing? Because let's answer the question that way. Where am I failing, guys? Where am I failing to communicate, to sacrifice, to do the work? I genuinely feel as if maybe there needs to be a new approach. And again, I'm gonna say, well, Maj, maybe you just feel a little down because you haven't eaten food since Saturday. All right. Redmond with the super chat, $20. We need 8 more, guys, for tonight's goal. We try to get $200 worth of super chats every night. The Will Voss says it's way easier to send super chats than go to a URL you might not trust. That's fair. Let's do that. Everybody do it in the super chat. I appreciate that. Redmond, second super chat. We need 8 more, guys. Guys, I know that we're so comfortable with our beautiful freedoms. And I'm not knocking it. I'm not the person that's like, hey, we got enough freedom and just take the freedoms that you have. I'm not saying that. I'm saying appreciate the ones that you do while acknowledging that there is an active attempt to make sure that they're gone. The other ones that you have are gone. I'm telling y'all that there is a far earmarked and stark contrast between what America is supposed to be and what America actually is right now. And this is only us talking about the Second Amendment right now. The fact that nobody in the chat, that I don't think nobody in the chat is like black-pilled, right? The fact that there's nobody in the chat that's like, the Second Amendment ain't dead, it's alive and kicking. Now, I do acknowledge that we've gotten more gun owners. Our work has been tremendous. Let me be clear. We've gotten a lot of work done with pennies, man. I'm not like no bullshit. TRS, who that? Terry? What's up, Terry? TRS, Solutionary. Terry Renee the Solutionary. We need 7 more super chats at the $20 level, guys. Everybody can give whatever they choose. I'll say this, everybody. Nobody in the chat, and everybody's optimistic. We aren't blackpilled. We acknowledge the work that we've done. We acknowledge the strides that have been made. I am saying the fact that these strides have had to be made when the Second Amendment exists is a major part of the problem. However, even with that being the case, nobody in the chat can genuinely say that they can wholeheartedly disagree with the title of tonight's show. The title of tonight's show is The 2A is Dead in America. Somebody in the chat tell me how I'm absolutely wrong. Outside, meaning in the sense of it's so alive and kicking that you don't run the risk of getting arrested for a constitutionally protected right. To me, if it's only on paper and the agents of the state, law enforcement officers to policymakers, are actively operating against it, then at best it's on life support. Terry says, feeling like it's on life support for sure. Dr. Green Thumb says, 2A been dead. It's decomposing. Redmond says, we're going to get there, Maj. We're going to get there, brother. I hope so. I'm going to keep fighting. But when our own team is going, those young kids with the switches, we need to lock them up. Sounded like FUDs. I'm not instilled and enthralled with enthusiasm. I'm just not. And then when I look at Everytown for Gun Safety does about $60 million a year. And I hate doing the hard sell shit. I hate it. I want to be clear, guys. I hate doing the like, come on, guys, support. Come on, guys, like, and I don't have the energy today for it. I'm spiritually tired today. I feel obviously I'm hungry. However, I only got 2 days left for this. But this fight that we in, man, America could not be here the way that we see it currently. Like, it could not exist as the landmass that we are. And the concept of freedom. We are over fucking leveraged in debt. $39 trillion. We're asking Congress to print up $200 billion more to go to another fight that we said was over. The Everytown for Gun Safety people get $60 million. Then when I say, hey guys, if we get 180 people to donate $100, here's what you get for that. I don't want to feel like I'm going to keep fighting. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to be honest. When, you know, like Rob just said, it's always going to be an uphill battle when people can't see biases for this cause that we all need. It's like, bruh, Everytown gets $60 million a year. We was whipping their ass with the Bruin decision and getting so many people from urban demographics to get involved. Then we get a House and a Senate and the executive branch, and we don't get no pro-gun legislation. They get Virginia, pivotal to the American concept the state of Virginia was. It's also where gun control started. The very first anti-gun racist bullshit was in Virginia. So the anti-gunners there are just continuing the tradition. And they right on point. And we are saying the gun that most law enforcement officers carry needs to be banned because of the switches that's on them. And our people are like, they need to lock those kids up. They don't look. You sound like the leftist that said Kyle Rittenhouse was wrong. That's what you sound like. So their solution to the Glock switches, to criminals breaking the law. And I don't even like that language. If you have here's what a crime is, something that produces a victim. There has been no victim. So their solution is to punish you for owning the most popular handgun in the country. 1,900 people testified against this bill. Only 50 supported it. They passed it anyway. This is the Democrat playbook, pure and simple. Find a boogeyman, blame the gun, punish law-abiding citizens, repeat. This is what y'all get down with too when you don't figure out a different angle to talk about them young people that need some guidance and some firearms training. You don't look at them as Second Amendment, practicing or exercising their Second Amendment rights because they listening to drill music and whatever in the background. California did it first, now Connecticut. And if you think Virginia's safe, Governor Spanberger has 9, it's 15 now. Anti-gun bill sitting on her desk right now. Guys, the game is rigged and we can fight back as a collective. We can win. We can get the Second Amendment off life support, but we first got to acknowledge that's where it's at. Stop just blindly, the same people that are blindly supporting the Trump administration that took pro-gun legislation out of the big, beautiful bill, Republicans did that, are also now attacking these things, not seeing their contradictions. And I'm saying, yo, send all of them young people our way. We need your help and we need your support, guys. The game is rigged. We can win, though, while they're rigging it. We can win. We just need a strong showing of cooperative economics and support and to push. So I'm going to do more. I'm going to get back to in-person classes. I'm going to get back to man on the street, just like I did more. I'm still in the gym every day. I'm still tired as hell. I'm still fasting. I said I got to do more. I got to do the show Monday through Friday. I need everybody here. This is what I'm going to ask everybody to do, because I know every night y'all be like, we tired of Maj trying to tell us to support this work, right? I'm not saying that we have to, obviously, I want everybody to support. Everybody. Support the work at givesendgo.com/solutionary. But this is what I would love everybody to do. There's 140 of y'all in the show tonight. Okay? I want y'all to do 2 things for me. 3 potentially. The first potential is the obvious. I want everybody to be a $100 donor. I want everybody. Be a donor at whatever level. But every $100 donor, you're going to get lifetime access to all of the classes, because then you can become a force multiplier. I want you guys, when you are a $100 donor, you get a login to Solutionary University. All of the classes that we have. Firearms basics, understanding imminent threat, stop the bleed, very important class. All of them. You get to log in, and these are videos. These are modules. You get to share them with your children, your family members, your loved ones. I want you to share that shit like the Netflix password. Give it to everybody, train everybody in your family. So that's what I want everybody to do, obviously. That's the $100 level, right? But outside of that, I want everybody to do 2 things. No, I'll take back 2. Let's just make it 2, okay? Everybody send me a 30 to 60 second video talking about the importance of our work along, and just say the link. You can send it to me in a DM, in an email, whatever. Send it to me, and I'll tag you in it or post it on whatever platform. If it's Instagram, collab with me. Just telling people to go donate. Just say, hey guys, this is great work. If you pro Second Amendment, da 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 da, they've been doing this work for however many years, blah 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 blah. Get it to me somehow. My email is majtoure@solutionaryuniversity.org. Unless one of y'all is super rich and can just donate the remainder, because that could be a possibility. I think it's like $19,000 left, and then we're done. Because fundraising is difficult. Okay? Maybe. My point is, every single person can do that, and it costs you $0. But what you can do is, what you are doing is posting that to your follower. You can send it to me to edit it, or you can just post it and tag me, and I'll download it, whatever. Screen grab it, whatever. If we get more people involved and say, everybody pitch in $10. This is a great Second Amendment activism work. This has been done for years. We saw what this person has done. They're talking about the Supreme Court. We are cited in the Bruin decision. I need help. It can't go the same way without force multiplier. So that's $0 that every single person watching this can do it. Now, here's where the challenge is. Okay, here's where the challenge is. We all just said how the Republicans have the House, the Senate, and all of that, right? We see that. Oh, East Coast with the super chat. I see you. Appreciate you, bro. East Coast says, it's only as alive as the defense from its infringement. We need to live together in the same neighborhoods and stand up together at the same time. More of us than there are government officials. Can't jail us all. I agree. I agree. So that's another $20 super chat. I think we need 6 more. So what I'm saying to y'all is this. If everybody wants to do a super chat, we need 6 more. We need 6 more people to pitch in at the $20 level. That's our $200 goal for the night. Let me say this, y'all. It's 100 and some odd of you in the chat tonight. If all of you made that 30 to 60 second video, you can film that with your phone and then posted it to whatever platform. If you don't know my social media handles, if you're on X right now, you see my X. Just shoot it to me in a DM. If you want to ask me anything about what social media platform you're on and what my name is on that platform, I'll get it to you. All right? Why I'm saying this is we can create force multipliers and you guys can, this is good work. Everybody, please donate to givesendgo.com/solutionary. You post it, I'll collab with you. And in that process, we reach more people. A lot of people just still need to be woken up. They know that this fight is going on, but they're not aware of the level of anti-gun legislation that's across the country. They have no idea that it's 15 bills of anti-gun gobbledygook on the Virginia governor's desk, waiting to be signed. So we talked about the Republicans not doing anything. And this is where I'm going to add a point of challenge to you all. If there's over 100 of you watching, I want to be drained with the problem of editing over 100 30 to 60 second videos. That's fine. I'm cool. But here's the challenging part. I want every single one of you to do it. It don't cost you nothing. If you can't support, be a $100 donor, cool. You can do this and it's free and we can reach more people and we might mess around and raise the whole $20,000 tonight. 19,000, whatever it is. Okay? But here's the thing. We talk about the Republicans being feckless and not getting it done. This is a free option that I'm asking everybody listening to do. How many people y'all think will do it? How many people you think will do it? From the chat, there's 140 of y'all in here. In the chat, tell me if you are going to do it. Don't say anything if you know you're not. But in the chat, I want you to just say, yo, Maj, I'll shoot you a quick video. Matter of fact, I'll shoot it right now. See, we talk about the Republicans having the House, the Senate, and the executive branch. We talk about the Democrats being anti-gun, but the Democrats galvanize. And now y'all saw work. Us continue to do the work. Then I say we got this level option. Everybody, if 140 people give $10, y'all could see the math, right? give it the $10 level. Everybody, we would love for everybody to give it the $100 level so we can get this done, right? Then I say, here's a free option. How many people out of 140 are actually going to do it? That's the real question. How many people in the chat can commit to saying Maj? Before I get off this live, when the live will be, we're going to wrap up here shortly. I've shown y'all the attack that we're fighting against. I've shown y'all the fight. The Democrats, when they get quiet after taking a loss like the Joe Biden, which I'm not so certain was a loss, because they ain't getting no pro-gun shit. The Republicans ain't getting no pro-gun shit out there. But when they got quiet after they lost, and the Republicans didn't push it over the red zone into the end zone, they got quiet and started going after states. We're going right here. We're going Democrat. We're going here, Minnesota, Virginia, blah, 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 blah. Okay? Brandon said he's in. I'm in. Already $100 donor. Work on giving another $100 by Saturday. Appreciate you, Brandon. Brandon, here's the question. Are you saying you're in for the video? Because I want everybody to be a video. Just do it tonight. Don't wait. Just do it. The video is just you 30 to 60 seconds. I'm saying 60 seconds because if it's under 60 seconds, I can put it in the stories with the link across all of the IG platforms. 30 to 60 seconds. 1 minute of you just saying, yo, they're doing some great work. They need your help. The Second Amendment fight is serious. Virginia's doing anti-gun shit. Democrats, whatever, however you want to say it. GiveSendGo.com/solutionary. I need everybody to commit to just making that one video, posting it to social media tonight, within the next hour. It costs you nothing. But we might mess around and raise tens of thousands of dollars. How many people in the chat can commit to that? It costs you $0. So as we're talking about the weak Republicans, we have to make sure that we're not being the weak Republicans, being the weak libertarians, being the weak independents. Tag me in it. If it's on Instagram, at Big Daddy 2Ray. Collab with me. I will collab with you. Meaning my following will see you and you'll see mine. 30 to 60 seconds. If you want to email it to me, if you're watching on X, you want to shoot it to my DM, you want to tag me on X, post it at Big Daddy 2Ray, BigDaddyToure. Brandon says, I'm in for the video. I'll get it to you by midnight. Absolutely. Thank you. That's one. There's 140 of y'all watching. So as much as we want to say we're going to fight to keep the Second Amendment alive, we got a free option that I want everybody to do tonight. And obviously, we want everybody to support it. GiveSendGo.com/solutionary. Very, very important work. The danger that is an unarmed populace, we don't even got to make shit up. We can just look at history internationally. Every time there's been unarmed populations, there's been massacres not long after. We, in America, have a framework that is in defense of that. And we're getting so far away from it because we're not educating, and we are not training, and we are not honoring ourselves as the militia. We are being divided under bigotry, bias. That group shouldn't have this. Why they not getting arrested? Any so-called law or statute in alignment with unconstitutional mandates are null and void. And if we can all get under that umbrella, then we can keep ourselves out the way. GiveSendGo.com/solutionary. Thank y'all all for tapping in tonight. I look forward. I had 2 or 3 people say they're going to get me the video. 1 before 12. I'm going to do a countdown and see how many people actually do it. Tag me on whatever platform, DM it, however you got to get it to me. I'll make sure I post you. But we need your help. Free is make the video 30 to 60 seconds. Make sure you add the link, GiveSendGo.com/solutionary. Cheap is just donate at givesendgo.com/solutionary, whatever you want. Higher expense, $100, get access to all of the classes and curriculums, lifetime. I need all of your guys' support, because if we don't collectively work together to get this Second Amendment off of life support, I'm afraid of what the future looks like. Thank y'all all for tapping in. I will see you guys tomorrow. Be safe, be solutionary.